Hello, in this video I'm going to explain to you section 4 of chapter 7. Section 4 is about sine and cosine. Well, until now we only have learned the tangent formula, and you can use it to calculate an angle or maybe one of the sides of a right-angled triangle. But you cannot always use this formula. For example, look at this triangle. When I want to calculate angle A, we cannot do this with the tangent formula, because the only sides I know is the opposite shorter side of angle A and the hypotenuse. I do not know the length of the adjacent shorter side to angle A. So in this example, I cannot calculate angle A because I do not know the adjacent shorter side. But there are two more trigonometric ratios, and those are sine and cosine. So first we're going to take a look at sine. So the tangent formula, it's actually a ratio, and so we also have sine. And this formula is a bit different, and you have to learn this formula. So with the sine formula, you will see in a few minutes that we can calculate angle A. And the formula goes like this. Sine of angle A is the opposite shorter side to angle A divided by the hypotenuse. So when I take a look again at my triangle and I look from angle A, so suppose you are over here, the opposite shorter side is 6 and the hypotenuse is 15. So you see, I can use this formula to calculate angle A. With the tangent formula, we had a way of remembering this, the tangent formula, and there's also a way to remember the sine formula. And we do this in kind of the same way. We look at the first letter of sine, opposite, and hypotenuse. So you can say, so. You pronounce it as so. Remember especially the H at the end. So let me see how we can calculate angle A. We're going to use the sine formula, so make sure you pay attention to notation. So I'm using this formula and I'm going to fill in the whole formula, only filling in what I know. So I'm writing down sine of angle A is equal to, then you take a look at the opposite shorter side, and again, imagine you are in angle A, you are over here. So this is the opposite shorter side. That's 6. And the hypotenuse, that's always the longest side. And it's always opposite to the right angle. So 15 must be over here. So the first step is done. I've filled in the whole formula. Don't leave anything away. So now, in the last step, I want to calculate angle A. This means I want to remove sine. And we can do this in the same way as we did with the tangent. I have to use sine to the power of -1. So you have to use your sine, your shift button, and then sine. Make sure you pay attention how you write this down. So angle A is equal to sine to the power of -1, and then between brackets, 6 divided by 15. This works exactly the same way as we've seen before with the tangent. Only now we have to use sine to the power of -1. Again, use your shift button. So try this, and we also we are calculating an angle, and we have to round it to a whole amount of degrees. So round it to a whole number. Then you should find angle A is approximately 24 degrees. Remember, use sine to the power of -1 when you want to calculate an angle. This is only for an angle. So this is the second trigonometric ratio you're learning. We've seen the tangent and now the sine. But there's a third one, and that one is called cosine. So Suppose we have to calculate angle B. What do I know? Suppose you are over here. Then we know this side, AB, and that is the adjacent shorter side to angle B. And we know this 22, and that's the hypotenuse. So the formula for the cosine will be adjacent shorter side to angle B divided by the hypotenuse. Again, while we take a good look at the first letters, cosine, adjacent, and hypotenuse, there is a way to remember this formula, and it is K. So, well, let us calculate angle B. Are you going to fill in again the whole formula? And pay attention to your notation. Cosine of angle B, the adjacent shorter side of angle B, that's 17. Divided by the hypotenuse, and that's 22. So we've used the whole formula, and now I'm going to calculate angle B. And make sure you write this down properly. Again, we see we have to remove cosine, or we can do this with cosine to the power of minus 1. So cosine to the power of minus 1, and then between brackets 17 divided by 22. And again, because we are calculating an angle, we have to round it to a whole number. When you calculate this, you should find approximately 39 degrees for angle B. And also, again, use cosine to the power of minus 1 when you want to calculate an angle. So now we've seen all three trigonometric ratios. And you have to know all these ratios. And you can remember them by using this SOHCAHTOA. So for sine, K for cosine, and TOA for tangent. These three are not the formulas themselves, but it's a way to remember the formulas. So when we're going to do exercises from now on, you have to make sure you choose the right formula. Maybe you need sine, or maybe cosine, or maybe tangent. I'm going to show you how you can find out which one of the three you need. In this example, we have to calculate angle R, and that one's over here. So make sure you look at this first. Where are we? We are over here. Then you take a good look at the sides in your triangle. So when I'm standing over here, I do know this one. And this is a shorter side. And it is the opposite. So I'm writing down the O of opposite. It's the opposite shorter side. And I also do know this one. And this is the hypotenuse, because it's the longest one and it is opposite to the right angle. So I do know the hypotenuse. So I do need a formula that contains the opposite and the hypotenuse. Opposite and the hypotenuse. So I do need sine. I cannot use one of those two because I do not know the adjacent shorter side. That's this one, and I don't know this one. So when I want to calculate angle R, I do need the sine formula. So let us fill this formula in, and we start at the beginning. So I'm writing down sine of angle R, and this has to be there. First, fill in the whole formula. Then, in the second step, we are going to calculate. Sine of angle R is the opposite shorter side divided by the hypotenuse. So it will look like this, 5 divided by 28. In the next and also the last step, we are going to calculate angle R and show that you're calculating angle R. I have to remove sine, and we can do this with sine to the power of minus 1. And then, between brackets, 5 divided by 28. So, get your calculator and make sure you take a good look if you get the same answer. I round it to a whole number because we are calculating an angle. So if you use your calculator wisely and it's set to degrees, you should find 10 degrees. for angle R. So this is the whole calculation. This is all you need to write down in an exercise like this, but don't leave anything away, because when you do, your calculation, your notation will be wrong. So make sure you check this really well. So the second and last example, we're going to calculate angle M. So first, and I have this triangle, but maybe with some exercises you need to sketch your triangle. We are over here, so make sure you imagine yourself over here. And we do some of the sides, but not all of them. What kind of sides do we know? We do know this 9. And this is the hypotenuse because it's the longest one and it's opposite to the right angle. So I do know the hypotenuse. So at this point I can say I don't need tangent because tangent doesn't have hypotenuse in the formula. Then I do know this side. And this is the adjacent shorter side because this one is the opposite. So this is the adjacent. So I need a formula with the adjacent shorter side and the hypotenuse. And then you can see I do need cosine. So first step is writing down and filling in the whole cosine formula. Cosine of angle M. Don't leave this away. Cosine of angle M is the adjacent shorter side divided by the hypotenuse. So it will be 3 divided by 9. Then we're going to calculate angle M. We have to remove the cosine. So we use cosine to the power of -1. Then between brackets 3 divided by 9. And we're going to round it to a whole number again because it's an angle. You should find 71 degrees for angle M. So in this section there are a lot of exercises that will help you to fill in the formulas in the correct way. So with some of the exercises you don't even need to calculate an angle yet, only practicing in the beginning by using the formulas correctly. So make sure you always take a good look about what angle they are talking. Because when I'm talking about angle K, 3 is the opposite shorter side. But when I'm talking about angle M, 3 is the adjacent shorter side. So make sure you take a good look at the angle they're talking about. Good luck with exercises of this new section.